Greetings, sir and sirettes, and welcome back to Factorio with me, Lathrix, and of course, welcome back to our humble little factory. In today's episode, we are going to be sorting out our power issues and getting to work, starting the production of green science. But first, let's tackle the power issue. So, I've been reading up a little bit on various websites, mostly the wiki, and of course reading all of your comments, and I figured out that 14 boilers to 10 steam engines is the optimal in terms of efficiency. So, we're going to be doing just that. We're also going to find out how water works in this way, because I'm not sure if I do this with my pipes and actually split them off to separate steam engines, will this produce enough water and temperature per one, or will the splitting cause an issue? I'm assuming it won't, but honestly, I'm very open to the fact perhaps it will. So let's quickly hook this up, get all of our inserters there, and then of course, bring the coal over. I've decided to move it all over here just because I've got this big empty space, which honestly I probably won't use since it's above the main production line, the main transport belt line. So, can't really build anything over here, so let's make it into a giant power station instead. It certainly makes sense to me. Actually putting it in the right place there, pretty darn helpful. Okay, then after that we're going to want the steam engines down here, so 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and of course carrying on like that. I don't really want 10 in a row because of the amount of space that would take up and how awkward it would be. It just wouldn't be very appealing. That looks really neat and tidy, and now I'm really hoping it actually works. So once again do this, and yes, I know I'm being inefficient with these. I just like the solid block of power. There we are, they go in there, and then we'll bring this down here. These for the first lot. Like so. And then we'll just do this as well. There we are. So, is this working? Is there enough water? There is enough water, and the temperature is increasing in each. So, if we're lucky, we now have 10 fully functioning steam engines. Absolutely wonderful, which means I can continue to put down my lamps everywhere, because it looks really cool. Also getting a little bit of frame loss right now. Not quite sure why that's happening, so I'll be quickly looking at that in just a second. We will, however, need some more coal. We are desperately going to need some more coal, so I'm going to quickly remove all this, get some more iron, get some more coal being mined out, and I'll be right back. So that's done. We are now mining coal for this particular track at 4 times its old rate. I've increased how much iron we're mining, and I've massively increased how much copper we're getting per second. So right now, we are good for basic resources and for power. The next step is a little bit more difficult. I've got to make myself a Science Pack number 2 factory, or a Green Science factory as I'm actually going to call it. And this one is a little bit more complex because it requires multiple stages of building. Well, at least a lot more complex than this one, which all I required is to make iron gears. Iron gears are the least of our worries. So we need to make the transport belts, which are just iron gears and iron plates, and we need to make the inserters, which are iron gears, iron plates, and electronic circuits. The circuits are cables and plates. Okay, let's get this thing started. So for now, I'm going to stay with the old method of splitting things because I just think it's a lot easier, because I'm kind of lazy and stuff. So, let's just do this. Get these both going back down, back onto the normal thing. This one goes away, and this one quickly does a turn before going under the main belt. There we are. And we need to be a little bit careful just because there is this rock here which is going to be getting in our way if we're not a bit vigilant. Okay, so I have the copper and I have the iron going through nicely. So, the main thing I'm going to need is iron gears. That's needed for not only the transport belt, which is pretty darn easy, honestly, but it's also needed for the electronic circuit. No, it's also needed for the inserter at the end. The circuit's something else. So what I think I'll do is this. First of all, let's focus on making the gears. The gears need to be made right now, and I'll make them all the way down here, this whole section just for gears. The gears can then be siphoned off for everything else. So, split this for gears. I will likely be changing what I do as I go. I'm just kind of building a rough draft first of all, seeing how it all connects, and then afterwards making it look a lot more neat, like I did over there for the red science. So you are going to be taken here, and that's going to be just for gears. Because we need so many, I'm going to have 4 assembly machines all producing gears. That rock's going to be really annoying, isn't it? I can just see it happening. That rock is going to be the bane of our existence for today. My one and only true enemy in this world. Rocks. Okay, now we'll put down the inserters and put down the assembly machines quickly. There we are, copper cables now being mixed with iron, which produces the electronic circuits. The electronic circuits be made here and then transferred over here for the end result. Yeah, I could definitely make this more compact. There's so many ways. Also, one big problem I am seeing is I'm not really paying attention to ratios, like where I'm splitting my iron off, where I'm splitting certain resources. So there's a good chance if resources ever become even slightly scarce, one element of this will be way behind everything else, purely because I'm not feeding it enough in comparison to the other elements, which means I'll have to wait for those to completely back up before it gets created. There's a lot of things I can improve here. But right now, all I want is a functional thing. And actually, I can make this way, can't I? Just... Oh yeah, of course I can. Just make it this way. Which ends up making this. I've just realised something. The inserter requires 3 components, not just 2, which means I need the advanced... This one here, I need the assembly machine Mark II, which means I need automation number 2. That's fine, that'll be built by the time I'm finished. I just noticed that, and it was so weird. I was like, oh yeah, that's a thing. Which means, actually, what would be best is to have them running side by side, have this one going up, this one going down, and then feeding off using long inserters and regular inserters. So I will make it over here after all, and then transfer it back. Okay, that's fine. Now, when I say best way, I mean way I actually currently understand. Rarely is that the best way. Lathrix is not a good tutorial maker. You, I would love an electronic circuit, same from you please. And I'm currently out of those, so give me those please. And they both feed into one which can go round and down. Or back on itself and then over, that'd be better. I'm gonna move you to there instead. Oh no, I can't because of that. That's annoying. I want to be neat with all of these cables for once. That's just something I want to do, just for once. Is that so wrong? There, neat enough. Ish. Then here's where it becomes less neat. Because I'm going to have to put that there. I just hate how they connect. That's the problem I have. When it all becomes this like spider web of cables, I'm just not a fan. Anyway, doesn't really matter honestly right now. Once again, everything will be cleaned up later. So I am going around after all that. Gee, I wonder where I have some inserters. Some transport belts, even. So, we need the long inserters as well, so I'll quickly make some of these. and put down the final of all the components, the final assembly machines which are making the green science. That is so unclean looking. There we have it. The research is complete. I've increased the size of most of the production, and now I have put down some assembly machines Mark II, which can actually produce the inserters. So with that, let's get this finally set up in its final form, and then we can continue. And yes, I realise I'm currently building inserters to allow the inserter machines to work. Actually, what I could have done is just powered this and then been given inserters, but where's the fun in that? Question mark. Okay, you go here, and finally go here. Look, inserters! It's adorable! And there we have it, inserters and transport belts being produced in mass. Wow, actually there's a lot of them being currently created. I'm going to steal some of those, because I do actually need some of those myself. Now the next step is green science, so it only requires the basic assembly machine. Is there any bonus to using the assembly machine Mark II? Yes, there is! Crafting speed 0.7, crafting speed 0.5. We also could have actually looked at some of the stuff we were building earlier to see how fast they could be built. So upgrading all of these things to number 2 might be the better idea. But for now, we'll definitely use the assembly machine Mark II for the green science. Ah, finally, science. So where is our science going to be used then? I guess if I cut down these trees, I could very easily put the labs here. And actually, now I've said that, that's exactly what I'm going to do. So this is almost complete now. Use the regular inserters. And let's have them like this, so it's all nice and equal. All going into the Mark II. All of which I want to produce green science. The best of the sciences. Until we get purple science, which is made with alien stuff, which is just really cool. But for now, green is the bestest. Go on, trees, get away. I want to finish this now. I really want to defend from the west and the north a lot. That's the next goal. Put these here. One there. One there. And there we have it, green science. We now have both red and green being created constantly. So what we need to do is get the red science over here. And what I think I'll do is just route it up here. And I've actually made quite a bit of space along this section if I move these power cables elsewhere. So I move those into the furnace area a little bit more. We could easily just have that going along and mixing there, and then going along and having all the labs over yonder. Okay, I'll go ahead and do that, put down the labs, and then we can worry about the very nasty looking hive to the northwest. Trees are quickly becoming the bane of my existence, and as a result, I've actually made a submachine gun purely for the use of destroying the trees. I mean, admittedly, it's going to be very helpful when the enemies attack and actually get through our defences, which will eventually happen, knowing my luck, but it's going to be fun for just destroying trees until then. That looks so bad. And yet kind of awesome when it's moving together. Things I need to fix, but right now I just want to finish this so I don't die to the enemies to the west. And I need way more of those as well. Okay. Put these in here. I'm actually curious if I actually have enough power for this. This is going to be a lot of science being made at any given time, and of course the production area over here is so much bigger than it used to be. I wonder. What happened if I just did this? There we are, that works as well. I don't know why I thought that was so much harder than it actually was. Blip. There we are. All of the science, and how we're doing for electricity, we're doing perfectly. There we go. I knew there's a way to check. So, I'm producing... Yeah, I've still got like another 30-odd% left. We're absolutely fine. Most of the power is still coming from the mining drills, not anything else. We could even add a second radar. Oh, wow. Look down there. Bottom right. That's actually okay, because as long as they keep attacking from the same direction, it doesn't matter how much is there. But there we have it. We now have red science, we now have green science, we have all of the sciences, and it's not exactly going to be hard to add more labs there either. So is there any green science I really want right now? That's a good question. Electric distribution would allow me to have these. There's actually a few things I've never seen before when I was looking, like this for instance. I have no idea what these things are. The decider combinator and all this kind of stuff. Never seen it, clearly from before my time. Ooh, lab efficiency would be very cool. Oil processing would be awesome, but not just yet. I still need to sort out steel processing first and making steel. We could make a car. Well, it would allow the production of a car, since we can then make the engine. And cars are pretty darn useful, since you can actually use them to attack if you have a gun, so that's pretty cool as well. But what do I need right now? Turret damage. I think right now, turret damage to make sure we survive is probably one of the more boring options, but also one of the more useful. And let's do this, because we're clearly making science faster than we're using it up. So what's holding us back then? If we look at our factory right now, what is being produced the slowest? Is there anything which is clearly lacking? I'm almost tempted to say red science, but also our production of iron seems to finally be dwindling a little bit. And I think if we leave it for long enough, our iron is slow. So that's one thing we need to work on in the future. Right now, of course, we really can't. The only bit of iron we've got nearby is this tiny little reserve here, which is 1 mine's worth. So we are going to have to go for trains faster than usual. Power's fine. Copper's absolutely fine. We're still back. Yeah, we are still backed up all the way. Just making sure then halfway through a sentence, ensuring I was actually correct. Green science is being made a little bit slowly. Why? We're just literally not making the item itself fast enough. Okay, so we could do with making 1 more of those then. Just there, if not a little bit more. Make 1 of those. Make more labs as well. A lot of stuff to make, so actually I'm going to be calling it here. Originally I was going to start fortifying here, but I've just looked at the time, and wow, that took a lot longer than I actually thought it did. Probably a lot of editing down needed, but that was actually a lot of fun. Really enjoyed that. Getting the hang of it again, and I'm not too upset by this factory. I'm still seeing a few things I could very easily do, like flipping this to the left would be a lot neater and everything. Making all this in a straight line would be very easy to do. There's a few things I could do to make it all nice and clean, but in terms of efficiency, it's doing the job well enough. So thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed the video, then of course, likes, favourites, shares, comments, all that good stuff helps out me, helps out the channel, and most importantly, shows that Factorio is a series you wish to see continued in the future. Thank you again for watching, and goodbye.